So I had an experience recently, just at work. So I've mentioned before a few times that I'm a car salesman. And I had an experience recently at work where I think that I did learn something quite important that I'd like to pass on. And this little bit of advice really improved my mood. It really improved just how I was doing at work. And I'll start from when I really started to get good at car sales. So I am a good car salesman, and I'm quite happy to say that. I always see myself as being a car salesman. I think I'm quite a people person, and I really enjoy the job. And when I started getting really good at it, I was at a point where I was like, started off well. If it was a strong month, I did well. You know, if everyone was doing well, I was doing well. I was typically, you know, out of it's a fairly small dealership, so like out of like 4 or 5 maybe people at that time, I was usually second, you know, lagging behind by a couple of cars. We have basically like a board where you can see who's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, who sold the most cars, and I was usually second, sometimes third by like a car, but usually second to the top guy by maybe 2 or 3 cars, who's been there for years, and it's his family that owns the business as well. So for me to be there, less than 2 years at this point, I was pretty proud of that, and I would say that that's good evidence for me being quite good at the job, picking it up quite quickly. But at that time, I was usually sort of second by a larger amount than 2 or 3, and I was sometimes just lagging behind or not hitting certain targets. And what I went and did then was I went and started listening to sales trainers. I started listening to a guy called Miko Auto Sales Coaching, who is he's on YouTube. He's someone that you can easily find. He's not got that many views, but his sales coaching was really good, and it's very American, and that really helped me. And it meant that when November came around, the guy who is usually first was still first by about 3 cars. So he had sold about 20. I'd sold 17 in November, which is a very slow month, and everybody else ended the month on 5. I attribute that really big uptick in sales to just having a bit more freedom at that time, and also being able to watch this guy put his stuff into action and just have it work. So there was a point in time where I was, not very good at it. Well, no, there was a point in time where I was good at it, but I was sort of like, I wasn't trained, and went and did the training, and then massively outperformed everybody else who, the business isn't in their family, that kind of thing. So it was a big deal. And then since then, I regularly sort of did those high numbers. I was always second to the top, pretty much. And then, only by a couple of cars usually, even made top once, which was really nice. And some really, really well-paid months. Now, when you're doing those sorts of numbers, you all of a sudden regularly are hitting 17, 18, and you're quite a bit above the next person. You know that you've done something right. And that meant that for a while I was like, right, this is the way that it needs to be done. And then I got a little bit of pushback from a sales manager. He didn't really necessarily like the way that this sales trainer taught people to go about things. My sales manager preferred a much more sort of structured, get all the information kind of approach, whereas a sales trainer, being American, a little more like fast and loose with how you get people out on the test drive. You can be a bit more assertive. You can use like certain language a bit more than other pieces of language. So it was just interesting to perform better, but because it wasn't like necessarily the structure that he was used to. Yeah. So got a little bit of pushback on it, and then but I was still performing really, really well. And that was really enjoyable to see a bit of training payoff, right? You watch the video, you take the notes, you put it into action, and oh my God, it actually works. Well, of course it works. You've got someone here who's got X amount of years in the industry. You know, it was the guy, Miko, was selling 30 BMWs a month or something like that, which is crazy numbers. And you know, really something that, you know, when that sort of person says, take some notes, close your ears, close your mouth rather, open your ears, take some notes, and you do it. And then I went away, got married, came back. So obviously, you know, taking time away and getting married did mean that I wasn't quite at that same sort of level just for a month or two. And when I got back into it, like really focusing on work, thinking less about now the fact that this is married life and more about the fact that I need to, you know, something changed in my brain when I became a husband, and all of a sudden I thought myself differently, and that's a big deal, and it just made me think, right, I definitely need to work harder and harder and harder and make sure that I am going to provide for this family that we're building. And there came a point where I went, right, I'm going to go back to basics and just do that very same sales training. And I don't know what it was. I was still doing well. I was still second on the board, you know, only lagging behind by 1 or 2. But I don't know what it was, but I could definitely sense that my desperation to perform even higher was coming across to customers. And when you have that situation, people can sense desperation so well that it puts people off. So there were probably a couple of sales that I could have got if I didn't seem so desperate. And like I say, I was still finishing months, you know, second to top or you know, joint top or something like that. Sorry, second to top or joint second or something like that. Maybe I had 1 month where I was like one behind the second. But it was really frustrating to be putting this really good sales training that had got me so far ahead just 6 months ago. So it's not as if, you know, those particular salesman tactics had become like well known and everyone knew how to like react against them now. It was just almost as if my higher drive, my extra I'm gonna get this done, that extra factor was now coming across as desperation rather than determination to people. And I could see in people's faces that was what was happening. And they just sort of like, I finished last month, so I'm in August at the moment. I finished last month, July, just about hitting 15. And that was joint second, and I just sort of thought to myself, something about this isn't working. And part of the sales training that I did with this guy was, you know, from these videos, Miko, part of the sales training was, you know, you always go out on a test drive with people. You always go out on a test drive with people. If someone asks for finance, you don't ask what's your budget, what money are you putting down. You just give them numbers and then you let them negotiate from there. A couple of other things, and I could feel that on the test drives I was forcing myself to ask the right questions, and I think that was coming across. I could feel that when people came back, and just another point as well, my sales manager decided that he didn't like that I was just giving people numbers. He wanted me to like get their monthly budget, get, you know, what you're looking to put down, that sort of thing, and then sort of work it out from there, which I respect. If that's the way that he got very good at it and did for so long, I can respect that like he's the sales manager at the end of the day. Those are his wishes, I will follow them. It was just getting very frustrating to deal with people and just get so many people so close and then they just don't quite go for it. Or we're just going to go across the road, have a coffee, then we'll come back to you. No. We're gonna get back to you tomorrow. No. Just so you know, if you're a car salesman coming up, if you're watching this video and you're in car sales, you need to close people on the day. There's no other way of like making sales than closing people on the day. Sometimes someone will say no enough times that you just say, okay, fair enough, look, you know, and then you need to treat it as if it's your idea to say, look, you guys get back to me tomorrow. I'll ring you at this point if I haven't heard from you, and we'll take it from there. Anyways, you just need to go down that route. But if you're a car salesman, then you really need to be able to take no a couple of times before you actually hear it, listen to it, and act on it. Basically it was sorry, if you're a car salesman, if you're not getting people to deposit on the day, then the chances of them actually ever going ahead with that car drop by fucking 95%, if not more. I can think of a handful of people where basically I've gone through the deal with them. They've said, yes, we need to think about it tomorrow. I'll get back in touch with you tomorrow. What I will then do is go through it a couple more times and then just say, so I just want to make sure there's nothing else I can do for you here. I can't save you guys, you know, the rest of your weekend. You know, you don't have to go around any more car garages, and you can just enjoy the rest of your weekend, that kind of thing. And they'll say, I can think of maybe a handful, like literally 5 less people, where they've said, let me think about it and I'll get back to you tomorrow, and they have actually rang me back and deposited. And usually they will say something along the lines of, look, I am almost there. I literally just never ever make this decision without having slept on it. I really like that car. I really like the way that it drives and everything. It fits all my needs. I'd see myself going ahead with it. I literally just want to sleep on it. And even then, if I've heard that so many times, and then the next day, most of the time they don't deposit. So yeah, just so you know, if you're not getting people to deposit on the day, you've lost them. Just treat it as that. If you let someone walk away from your desk, they're not putting down the deposit. Now, I'll get into some more car salesman advice towards the end of this video, because I feel like that would be useful for some people as well, and I think that'll be really good actually. So I was just letting people walk away. Oh yes, we'll see you tomorrow. And it just didn't happen. Plenty of people telling me the car fit all their needs. Yeah, we just want to sleep on it. Literally, we literally just need to get our shopping. So we're going to go over and do the shopping, then we're going to come back. But yeah, we absolutely love the car. And then they just ghost you. They disappear. I've had that with quite a few people. So what I did was, I thought of all that sales training that I'd done, how effective it had been, and I just decided, well, that's making me seem desperate now. That's making me seem like I need this, rather than determined and in control of the situation. It makes me look out of control of the situation and as if I'm desperate for a sale, which I'm not. I'm doing well. So what I'm going to do what everybody else here does. I'm going to send people out for test drives on their own. I'm going to ask how much you're looking to do, that sort of thing, and just go through the system in a much less controlling way. Because I think that the more that I was trying to grasp it, it was like water or something like it. It was like jelly. The more that I tried to grasp it, the more it was slipping through my fingers. And after that, it really kicked off. I'm in the middle right now of a fantastic month, and I've just slightly changed the way that I do things. And don't get me wrong, I'm not one of I haven't become a friend zone salesman, and I think that is the biggest difference here. I haven't immediately just said, oh yeah, no, that's okay, you guys think about it. The first time I hear no, you can't act really friendly to people that way, because you're a car salesman at the end of the day. A lot of people come into the dealership to go to war with you. But I haven't made the transition into just fully, bend over backwards doormat car salesman. I'm a very good negotiator, and I think that has helped actually in some way. Giving people, setting people off on a test drive by themselves and saying to them, you're going to love this by the time you get back. Then if anybody asks for me to go out with them, I 100% will, and just crack on with them, have a really good conversation. But just dialing back I need to be in control of the situation a little bit has really, really helped. And I think that sometimes if you're at that point in your life where there is something that is just frustrating you, and you can't seem to get ahead in it, it might be that you are trying too hard. And that's a real thing. And you might know some people in your life who seem to almost fall into luck all the time, and it's probably to do with the fact that, like, they're, I don't know, they are, what's the best way to say it? Sorry, there was a truck flashing me there, and it's caught me off guard. But sometimes there'll be people who just, rather than them trying and trying and trying, they are, like, things seem to come to them, and you can see that it's so much easier for things to come to them because, I don't know, and like, things work out and their charisma is much higher, and they just take it easy, they take life as it comes, and it seems to work. And sometimes you need to know when that is the way of things. The world always seems to change at once. The world always seems to have something in the atmosphere and things start to move that way. And I've just learned that quite recently, that right now in the atmosphere, it's actually better to put in slightly less effort and not try and control every aspect of that sales journey, and you get better results out of it. On the other hand, constantly trying to, like I say, squeeze and grip every single thing as tight as you can, it's really tough, and it made it really desperate. So if you are right now in a slightly different situation to me as a car salesman, you are trying to lose weight, and you're like running or something like that, and it's just not seeming to help. You're like running, you're eating really healthy, you're trying to keep on top of everything. It doesn't seem to be making a difference. I'm not saying that you should, like, slob out, but maybe rather than, spending an hour running, you should spend an hour walking with your girlfriend or your spouse and just, like, enjoying a really good conversation with them, eating a meal that's healthy but not, like, dire and really, really unhappy. So, moving on to, like, red meat or something like that, rather than constantly trying to eat greens all the time or something like that. If you're like, and you'll enjoy the walk with your spouse more than the run, and you'll still get, like, a lot of something out of it. It's not something that can be explained rationally by counting calories and things like that, but it will work. That's the best way I can describe it. It does work. Similarly, if you are, trying to, this is such a good example, and it's one that I've heard of before. Obviously, it's not something that I'm engaged in at the moment, but if you're trying to get girls or something like that, I've known the same woman for 8 years now, and I'm married to her, so this is not something that I've got any recent experience with, but friends of mine who are experiencing this, and my own experience, way back when, that I remember when I was younger, of this, is that if you are hanging around girls and you're creepy and it's, and you come across as desperate because you're desperately trying to get into a girl's pants, right? They can pick up on that so quickly and so well that you'll just come across as creepy and you'll never get it. Now, when you stop trying and you actually focus on being the best version of yourself, that then attracts people. That attracts not just other girls. That doesn't just attract girls to you, but it also attracts guys who look up to you, which again is very attractive to girls. And if you don't know as well, girls also rely on their social circle for their opinion quite a lot. So if you're attractive to a girl's group of friends, then those are the ones that you actually need to focus on if that's what you're trying to do. If you're trying to, go out there, get some game, that kind of thing, but you need to stop caring. That's what it is. You need to stop caring about what people think about you. You need to stop rigidly trying to fit things into a mold that you already know and think is the best. Sometimes you need to go with what is in the atmosphere. If you're looking around at yourself and at your situation, and saying to yourself, how is he getting ahead? How are they getting ahead? When I'm the one doing all the work, I'm doing all this, I'm putting in all the effort, and I'm coming out with the same or worse results. How is that happening? You need to stop being so rational and actually just copy them. If there is someone at your work that just seems to be getting you know, if you work a similar job to me and there's someone there that seems to be getting all the sales and you just can't figure it out because you're the guy that's doing all the work, you've done all the training, and somehow this guy that's just like on his phone all the day, he's barely at his desk, he never seems to pick up the phone, he seems to be doing the same as you, then you do the same as him. If you're genuinely better trained, then when it actually comes down to the stuff like negotiation and finding out what car is going to work for people and follow up, you're going to do so much better. But if the groundwork is being relaxed, is being comfortable in your own skin, rather than determined and hard and driven in front of people that in a way that might put them off, then that's what you need to take on board, that actually that is what is making sales. It is as simple as that. It is as simple as that. If you are looking at your friend and you're like, how does he get so much attention? He's got so many other friends, he's got so many women wanting to go after him and that sort of thing. It's not, you need to stop thinking to yourself, how do I get girls? How do I act in a way that gets girls? You're going about it in the wrong way. The way that you need to start thinking is, how do I be a bit more like him? And if his attitude is to care less, is to speak frankly, maybe he says things to women that you would never say because you think it's disrespectful or something like that, well then maybe you need to start being disrespectful. Maybe you need to start making jokes that you'd be uncomfortable with, and just like being not having a mental barrier, not having a filter on all the time, not being so supportive and creepy because of it. It will work for you, I promise. It will work really, really well for you. I also promised some sales advice, but I'm actually going to make that another video. I'm stopping this here, and another video being made right now.